Imagine discovering a dinosaur so strange that scientists thought it was three different animals stitched together, or a predator with arms so useless they looked like a joke, until researchers realized they were its deadliest weapon. And then there's the one that might have hunted underwater, despite belonging to a group that was never supposed to leave land. These aren't movie monsters, they were real, and somehow they were even freakier than Tyrannosaurus rex. When people think of dinosaurs, they picture the same few names over and over, but science has uncovered hundreds of species, many so bizarre that they completely break what we think dinosaurs were supposed to look like. Some had claws that made no sense, some looked more like evolution took a wrong turn, and some looked like they belonged in mythology, not prehistory. And we're starting with one that looks harmless at first, until you realize it might have had the most extreme arms of any dinosaur ever found. Linhenicus was a small theropod that lived in what is now China during the late Cretaceous. At first glance, it looks almost normal, until you notice its arms. Linhenicus is the only dinosaur ever discovered with just one functional finger on each hand. A single spike-like digit attached to an arm so tiny it barely looks usable at all. Compared to this thing, T-Rex suddenly looks over-equipped. For years, scientists assumed these arms were useless, evolutionary leftovers with no real purpose. But that explanation didn't hold up, because Linhenicus wasn't a hunter, it was an insect specialist. Its teeth were thin and needle-like, perfect for snapping up insects. And those bizarre arms? They were likely powerful digging tools, used to tear open termite mounds and ant nests, much like modern anteaters do today. And this freakish design worked. Linhenicus survived for millions of years using a body plan that looked completely wrong, yet functioned perfectly. Linhenicus proved something important. Just because a dinosaur looked wrong didn't mean it was. Some dinosaurs adapted quietly. Others evolved in ways that shouldn't have worked at all. Because the next dinosaur didn't just bend the rules of anatomy, it shattered them. At first glance, he doesn't look real. It looks like something imagined, not discovered. Like the last dino, Yi lived in what is now China, but during the late Jurassic. What made Yi strange was its arms. Yi's hands supported a strange membrane of skin, stretched between its fingers and body. Combined with evidence of heavy feathering, this gave it an appearance unlike anything else known from the fossil record. It didn't sit cleanly anywhere on the dinosaur family tree. In fact, its anatomy was so unusual that paleontologists compared it less to birds and more to bats. But despite its wings, Yi couldn't truly fly. It lacked the muscle attachments needed for powered flight. Instead, it likely glided, launching from trees and silently drifting between branches. This made Yi one of the strangest evolutionary experiments ever recorded. Dinosaur with wings that weren't meant for flight. Its lifestyle was arboreal. It lived in the trees, hunting insects among dense forests, using its claws and teeth with precision rather than strength. Seeing Yi unexpectedly, especially at dusk, would have been unsettling. Its silhouette alone would have been enough. But Yi wasn't the only dino that confused scientists. The next one was so bizarre that, at first, researchers thought they'd uncovered three different animals, not one. Chilosaurus was discovered in what is now Chile, and lived during the late Jurassic as well. From the beginning, it caused problems. Its skeleton didn't fit cleanly into any known dinosaur group. In fact, early on, researchers genuinely thought they were looking at the remains of multiple different dinosaurs, not a single species. Some parts of its body resembled a theropod, the group that includes predators like Allosaurus. Other features look closer to sauropodomorphs, the long-necked plant eaters, and its hip shared traits usually seen in ornithischians, a completely different branch of the dinosaur family tree. It was a combination that shouldn't have existed. Chilosaurus looked like a predator, yet its teeth told a different story. They were flat, spatula-shaped, and angled forward, a design far better suited for plants than flesh. Its body suggested speed and agility, while its diet pointed toward herbivory. Even its arm added to the confusion. They were strong for its size and ended in large claws, likely used for defense rather than hunting. This strange mix forced paleontologists to rethink where Chilosaurus belonged. Some studies even suggested it wasn't a theropod at all, but something far closer to armored or plated dinosaurs. Chilosaurus didn't just blur the lines between dinosaur groups, it erased them. And mention of armor brings up an even stranger case, because the next dinosaur didn't just confuse scientists, it challenged where certain dinosaurs were even supposed to live. Leoningosaurus was supposed to be ordinary. It belonged to the Ankylosaurs, a group known for heavy armor, slow movement, and a strictly land-based lifestyle. But this one raised eyebrows almost immediately. Some specimens were found with fish and lizard remains preserved inside their stomachs. a strange detail for a dinosaur that wasn't meant to hunt prey at all. Its teeth were sharp and forked at the tips. Its claws were more developed than expected, and parts of its skeleton suggested a body capable of more flexibility than most armored dinosaurs. That led to a controversial idea. Some researchers proposed that Liaoningosaurus may have spent time in water, possibly swimming, possibly hunting along shorelines, an armored dinosaur behaving like a predator. Although many others pushed back hard, arguing the fossils represented juveniles and that the evidence had been misinterpreted. The debate is still ongoing, but one thing is clear. Liaoningosaurus forced scientists to reconsider where certain dinosaurs could live and what they were capable of. At some point, dinosaur evolution stopped caring about what looked right, because the next dinosaur looked fine until you noticed its face. Incisivosaurus was small, unassuming, and maybe easy to overlook. But then you looked at its teeth. Instead of the sharp blade-like teeth you'd expect from a theropod, Incisivosaurus had oversized front teeth that looked eerily familiar. Flat, wide, rodent-like. Teeth that looked more at home on a beaver than a dinosaur. This immediately caused confusion. Incisivosaurus belonged to a group closely related to meat-eating dinosaurs, yet its teeth suggested something completely different. Early theories bounced back and forth. Omnivore, scavenger, opportunist. But the wear patterns told a clearer story. Those teeth were used constantly. They weren't decorative. They were functional. They were tools. Further analysis revealed something even stranger. For its size, Incisivosaurus had an unusually powerful bite, far stronger than expected for such a small animal. That strength, combined with its strange teeth, pointed toward a highly specialized herbivore, one capable of stripping through tough vegetation, cracking fibrous plant material, and exploiting food sources other dinosaurs couldn't. A dinosaur built from carnivorous ancestry that survived by eating plants. Incisivosaurus wasn't frightening because of its size, it was unsettling because it felt wrong. A familiar shape wearing a mouth that didn't belong. And it wouldn't be the last time evolution produced something like that. Up until now, most of the strange dinosaurs we've seen were small, yet Tyrannus was not. This predator lived during the early Cretaceous and reached nearly 30 feet from head to tail, rivaling some of the most famous meat-eaters ever discovered. By size alone, it should have been familiar. But then the fossils revealed something unexpected. Feathers. Clear impressions across the neck, arms, tail, and body. This wasn't a small bird-like dinosaur experimenting with insulation. This was a full-sized tyrannosaur wrapped in feathers. The environment explains part of it. Tyrannus lived in a region with cold temperatures and extreme seasonal shifts, where insulation would have been essential for survival. If a predator this large needed feathers to survive, then feathered dinosaurs weren't the exception. They were likely the rule. And Tyrannus wasn't the strangest example of that shift. That realization leads to an obvious question. What were feathers becoming? Long before true flight existed, dinosaurs were already experimenting, stretching anatomy in directions evolution had never tried before. And one of the strangest experiments came in the form of a creature that looked like it was halfway finished. Epidexipteryx was small, lightweight, and barely larger than a pigeon, but its arms were anything but normal. Instead of wings, it had elongated fingers, absurdly long for its size, tipped with feathers arranged in a way that couldn't lift it off the ground. They weren't built for powered flight. They weren't even built for gliding. There was something in between. Its tail carried ribbon-like feathers unlike anything seen in modern birds. Its body lacked the muscle structure needed to take off. And yet, everything about its skeleton suggested motion. Climbing, leaping, bouncing, lifespan above the ground. Epidexipteryx lived in dense forests where height mattered more than speed. Those strange arms likely helped it grip branches, stabilize jumps, and move through trees with precision rather than power. This wasn't a failed bird by any means. It was something earlier. A snapshot of evolution testing ideas, building the framework for flight long before flight actually worked. Wings didn't appear all at once, they were assembled piece by piece. And Epidexipteryx shows what that process looked like. Awkward, experimental, and unsettlingly unfamiliar. By the time true wings finally evolved, dinosaurs had already spent millions of years figuring out how to leave the ground. Until next time on Fossil Flix, don't forget to subscribe.